the team lead of a top producing team in Omaha, we get asked this question a lot. How do I get into real estate? I have coached several agents out of needing their 9-to-5 job and doubling their income with this business, too. First, start building your database right away. Using an Excel spreadsheet, start gathering names, addresses, emails, and phone numbers for everyone you know and have met. Second, call the Real Estate Commission and get your license packet, which includes a background check request. You're going to want to send your background check in right away, right when you start your classes. This can hold you up from taking your test.
Oh no, Corky! What you gonna do now? You can't get a Nebraska real estate license, because I looked it up before I found this video. I looked up, what's the qualifications to sell real estate in Nebraska? And the number 2 thing on the list is pass a background check. Well, if they do a background check, they're going to find out that, 1, you got arrested for felony real estate fraud. Oh no, that's not going to look good. Then, the other thing they're going to find, that you have an outstanding criminal bench warrant. Not a felony bench warrant, but a bench warrant on a felony. You're a felon. That don't mean that felons can't get jobs selling real estate. Depends on what they're busted for. But real estate fraud, I think, is one they're going to frown on, Corky. So you're making all your cold calls for nothing, because you can't handle the money in a real estate transaction. You have to go through a licensed real estate agent. You see these videos out there selling real estate without a license, it's all bullshit. It's just to get you to buy into their program, which will never get you anywhere, because you have to still go through a licensed agent to get the transaction done. You know, the banker and the lawyer involved are going to want a licensed real estate agent there. Well, Corky, you're not one, and never can you be one. There may be a state you could be one in, but definitely not Nebraska. Sorry about your luck.
Well, it's Tuesday, and we've already received a number of calls from individuals with outstanding bench warrants in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And the first question that we get from these individuals is, obviously, what should I do with this warrant? And our advice is that obviously the warrant has to be addressed, and that simply ignoring the warrant is never a good strategy. The warrant's not going to go away. There is no statute of limitations. You'd be surprised how many people believe that if they simply, quote unquote, run out the clock, eventually the law will simply forget about the warrant and they can continue to go about their lives without any issue. And that's simply not the case. If you have an outstanding bench warrant in Pennsylvania or New Jersey, it will follow you from state to state, regardless of where you are.
Did you hear that, Corky? Your bench warrant will never go away until you man up and deal with it. Just running away to Nebraska is not going to take care of that problem. Eventually, it will catch up with you. Yep, that's right. You try to apply for jobs, and if they do a background check, they're going to find that. You get too chummy with the police trying to get Blue and Bernie in trouble, they're going to find it. And all they have to do is find it. And then the cops know. If you get put in jail for any reason, DUI, we know you've driven drunk before. You know, as poorly as you drive, eventually you're going to get into an accident. You already had one in a parking lot where you backed into some poor girl. But, you know, something like that caused the cops to do a background check on you. And uh-oh, Corky's life is going to be turned upside down. That's right, Corky. You know, who knows? Maybe Dog the Bounty Hunter will come by and give you a visit. Who knows? There are other bounty hunters out there, too. I don't know how bounty hunters take people across state. I'm sure it costs money, and your petty warrant maybe not worth that much. I don't know. I don't even know what your bench warrant is about. I did see it on a background check on you. I had a friend who has a business who has access to background checks because he hires people for security reasons. And he ran a check, ran your name, and lo and behold, you have a bench warrant on a felony. That's what it said. I can't remember exact words. It was something about, the felony was mentioned in there, and bench or warrant. It didn't say felony warrant, but it did say a bench warrant, which, you know, warrant is a warrant, whether it's felony, bench warrant, or not. Here's some advice to you. The best thing that Corky could do is to turn himself in on that warrant. Because if they catch you and you get caught that way, you know, cops run a check on you a little more in depth, run through CODIS or whatever, and find your name up there, that's going to mean they caught you fleeing a warrant. If you turn yourself in, you're not fleeing a warrant. See, right now, you're in another state. You left the state knowing you had a warrant, so you're fleeing a warrant. That means you can't get no bond. You can't get bonded out if you get picked up. You go directly to jail, and then they put you on some prison transport out to California, I guess. I don't know how that works. I know how that prison transport system works. They make everybody go to Oklahoma City, so they probably put you on a prison transport to Oklahoma City on a bus, and then they would fly you from Oklahoma City to Los Angeles, because that's how all the transfer criminals from one state to the other. Here's another thing. Last night, my dog woke me up to go outside. So I let my dog outside, and usually I come in here and wait for my dog to come back in if it's way late at night. And while I was doing that, I was listening to the scamming through part of your little Jordan Peterson baloney where you're talking about some existential bullshit that whatever. If other people are into that, that's their deal. But you made some veiled attacks on me and Blue and probably Bernie and Sherlock Holmes and Salami Nugget and all the other ones I'm forgetting right now, Hung Young and Young Hung and Hung Low and everybody else. You made your little threats and attacks and basically talked about us being criminals. We're criminal consciousness. We're criminal minds. But need I remind you that none of us have bench warrants? None of us have felony records for things that we did and blame on other people. Yeah, you might have been a patsy to a certain extent. You were a patsy in the sense that Tim assured you wouldn't get caught, but you weren't a patsy as if you didn't know it was illegal. But to you, there's no difference, because you're a good conscience and good character, which is the biggest bullshit you ever spew out of your mouth. Because you are not. That's the biggest delusion of all of the quirky delusions. Good conscience and good character, my ass. Good conscience and good character doesn't steal. Good conscience and good character isn't a racist. Good conscience and good character don't lie. And you're always lying. And always trying to scam. See, you're the one who has a criminal conscience. Because what do criminals think? How can I get something without working for it? See, you don't like to work. You want all the rewards that all of us people who worked all our lives have. But you don't want to work to achieve those. Well, that's the same way a criminal thinks. That's why a criminal robs a bank. That's why a criminal goes out and sells drugs. That's why criminals do a lot of things that they do. Now, sometimes criminals do things because they're addicted to a substance and they want to get their next high, so they steal so they can get money for their next high. But we know you're not a drug addict. What you are is someone always looking to way to get rich without working for it. Well, it doesn't really happen. I don't care how many books you read. All these people that write these books, and Tony Robinson probably says you have to work for what you get, but you ignore that part of the Tony Robinson thing. You got books and books out of how to make it in life, and you haven't made it in life. What does that tell us? That you're quirky. Your books haven't done anything for you, other than make you someone who knows how to run their mouth in a video, and that's about it. Now, I tried to be nice to you, but you always shit on people who are nice to you. Sabella, she's gonna find that out one day. So that's why I don't mess with Sabella or say anything. I just let her find out on her own. So let's look at Happy Cabby. Now Happy Cabby took Nick off the streets. Happy Cabby fed Nick, gave Nick a roof over his head. I think Happy Cabby even bought him a laptop computer. Then Happy Cabby started getting sick, and his health was starting to fail. So Happy Cabby couldn't afford to support Nick anymore. So Happy Cabby told Nick he has to leave. Well, Nick was very reluctant to leave, but Nick finally had to. And how did Nick repay Happy Cabby? By accusing Happy Cabby of being a pedophile and all these other things. And then Sabella condemned Happy Cabby to hell. Said Happy Cabby's burning in hell. That's what she said. That's what kind of a Christian Sabella is. Just if you guys want to know. That was in a comment that she wrote on a thread of comments that I was on. I don't know if she responded to me or somebody else. Happy Cabby did not wrong Nick. Nick stabbed Happy Cabby in the back. Okay, Savella, if you happen to watch this. Probably won't, but, you know, if you just happen to, then know those things. I'm sure people said it already in the comment, but... Anyway, back to Nick. Nick's trying to equate me as being a criminal. Just because I make videos calling Nick out on his bullshit. Nick has no problem with my videos about Von Helton. Nick probably doesn't care about my ones about Elvis Travels or, I don't really know who else I cover other than Nick, Elvis Travels, and Corky. Roger Brown. Roger Brown's a real scumbag. But, you know, Nick is a scumbag. And I tried to be nice to Nick. I wanted to actually help Nick. But what did Nick do? Nick made a whole video lying about me for no other reason than he's just Corky. So, I don't care what you think of me putting videos out about Corky and telling the truth about him. The truth is, Corky knowingly stole money from Eleanor's family. Nick knowingly committed real estate fraud. Was he a patsy? Yeah, because he thought he was going to get away with it. Tim promised him he'd get away with it. Nick would have gotten away with it if Nick wasn't stupid and run his mouth and drive around his Mustang and his RV and, oh, look at all this. He spent so much money, he had to go out and try to do another criminal. People were already onto him, and he was in the middle of stealing money from a Mexican family. Why? Because they're Mexican. They don't deserve to live here and own a home, even though they worked very hard for it. Nick is a white American. He should get their home. Right, Nick? Is that what you thought, Nick? And then he did time in prison. But he didn't do real time in prison. He spent his time in prison being babied in the prison hospital because he peed his pants and they couldn't have him in the general population. Poor widow Nick. Poor tough-ass Nick come down here going to kick my frickin' ass, but he can't even handle being a man in prison. They wouldn't put me in the hospital. I just know to keep my mouth shut and keep low-key and keep out of people's way and not make eye contact with anybody and just do my time if I had to go to prison. Not Nick, though. Nick has to be pampered while he's in prison. Poor widow Nick. There's two things I can tell you about, or I'll tell you about Nick and anybody on YouTube. If they have to tell you they're tough, they're not. If they have to tell you they're smart, Tasha Teeling, Nick Bravo, they're not. Oh, Elvis Travels used to talk about how tough he is unless somebody called him out on it. And if someone approached him in real life, you know, someone found out where he was in his crapper van, he would run scared and you know, like the biggest pussy you ever seen. Little tiny Elvis Travels pretends like he's big, but he's really tiny. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you're tiny, but if you're pretending like you're not, then there's something wrong with you. So that's it, Nick. Have a good day, Nick. Later.